What about ghosts and things like that? Like, it's like I heard stories about ghosts that have haunted places for like 100 years or something. Like, are they stuck? Do they know they're dead? Are they are they just stubborn and like I'm not going to the light? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned there's different levels of that in terms of ghosts. I guess probably the most common one would be somebody who's very addicted to, let's say, drugs or alcohol in this lifetime, and so addicted that when they died, they died as a result of that addiction. Particularly alcohol is very common because a lot of people drink in our society. Nothing wrong with it, of course, in moderation, but in extremes, it's harmful not only to you physically, but also energetically, spiritually speaking. So let's say you got somebody who's like a raging alcoholic, and they die of the alcoholism. Now, because they're so attached to alcohol, even when they die, they have an appetite for alcohol. What will happen is that'll keep that soul earthbound, meaning they don't ascend right away because they're attached to something that's physical. And so they will have a hard time leaving. So what they will do is they may, to fulfill that craving, because it'll still be there, to fulfill it vicariously, they will attach to somebody who, let's just say, is just a casual drinker. That likes to go to the club or likes to go to the bar and have a drink, talk with friends. And these ghosts, so to speak, or souls that have passed on but are still earthbound will attach to that person. And sort of subtly, unconsciously, urge that person to drink more and more and more. And before you know it, this person's gone from a casual drinker to having a drinking problem themselves. And the reason is because this soul, or you might say entity, that had an addiction to alcohol is feeding vicariously on this other person's desire to drink and to drink more. And they actually will that will satisfy that entity. So it'll stay attached to that person. And sometimes I've had alcoholics come to me, or somebody who's been an alcoholic come to me because they're trying to break through or resolve that. And I'll check to see if they have any attachments. And sometimes I find out that, there's an entity attached to them, and it was attached to them for a specific reason. We will actually identify why that entity attached and when it happened, and when a person becomes conscious of that, the entity can't stay unless the person agrees to it. So we can basically just command it to leave, just send it off and send it into the light, because my guides will take it into the light so that it's no longer earthbound. But that's one sort of element of ghosts.
Interesting.
Then there are other things that can happen, like places where there's been tragedies, where a lot of people died from some tragic situation, or battle scenes, or places where there were concentration. A lot of times there are ghosts that will still hang around those places because they lived in that particular time in that area, and they just for some reason are still attached to being around. So people who are sensitive will feel and sense that. I feel it present, and those kind of places will have sometimes. But ghosts are basically souls that have left their bodies but still are earthbound. And they're earthbound for a particular reason. Sometimes it's just because let's say you've got a family that's lived in the same house for generations,
Right.
and some of the relatives, like great grandfather, for some reason died in that house and just not ready to leave. And so it seems like they're still there. To give you an example, well, I don't know if this was a relative. I don't think it was in this case. I had a woman that came to me She's a very successful businesswoman in the Philippines. Travels all over the world, been to Asia, Africa, all over Europe. But she's very open spiritually. And a lot of people from the Philippines are a little more open to these kind of things than the average American would be. And so I just recently worked with her, and we cleared some stuff that was very straightforward, that had to do with her own past lives. But she said, as an aside, that, we have a big home in the Philippines, and all the family lives in the home. Even my parents and grandparents live in different sections of the house. Even though she had a son who's in his mid-20s, that he has a separate place. But she says, there's something, I think there's an entity or something in my section of the house where I live, and I don't know what to do about that. So once we cleared the trauma of the past life stuff I did with her, I had her focus on her house and go there. And you can go there, when you know how to guide a person. She could go there spiritually. And she went there and she found where that entity was hanging out in her section of the house. And we called it out, and she basically, just confronted it and said, okay, I don't want you in. And she sent it, and had, using spiritual words of power, sort of like prayers, but they're like mantras that will actually, clear the space. And so she used those, and the entity just left and went on with the guides and to the other. And then while she was doing it, I didn't even get, she said, oh, let me check my father's section. And she found one in where her father was living, and she sent it off. And then she, outside of the house where they live, went to where her son was and found that he had one too. And so we actually cleared 3, earthbound souls that sent them on into the other realm. And we didn't bother to find out why they were there. They just didn't belong there, and they didn't, they weren't wanted. So it was just time for them to go. And so she sent them off, and she felt quite relieved. She said when we took her into her own space and she found where it was, she just said the hair stood up on her arms, because she's like, oh my God, there it is.
Yeah. Kind of creepy. So you're living with this thing and not knowing. I read this book, I wish I could remember the name of it, but it talked about how when you pass away and go to the other side, that you're going back to a neighborhood, and there's like music and there's friends, and they say it's not that much different than you would think that this world was like, and that you're there and enjoying that for a while, but then there comes a time where you're like, okay, what do you want to do? But she presented it as a choice. Like you do your life review, and you can decide if you want to continue to grow as a spirit, or you can just stay and play golf or whatever in the afterlife. But it seems like that's not the case. Like they're kind of.
Yeah, it would be nice if you had that kind of choice, but it's not quite like that, at a certain point, the Lords of Karma will direct you back, and just say, okay, because you got karmic stuff to resolve. And let's say you had past lives where you were very abusive to others, and so you've got a karmic debt there. And so you got to come back and balance that out. And so we all have, you might say, a karmic portfolio from our past lives. It's like a bank account with credits and debits, And the Lords of Karma, when you go to the other side, they read that, right? And they can see it very clearly. And so, yeah, you'll have a respite on the other side, or a period of time when you can just chill and do other things and interact with other souls, go to, quote, you might say classes to learn other, more lessons. But eventually, you're going to have to come back until you learn all the lessons you need to spiritually and have balanced your karma and have graduated. It's just like this. It's like the first grade. But we repeat it until we actually master the lessons in the first grade. There's a movie called Astral City that's a good sort of, gives the people a good sense of how that works. It's actually a Brazilian movie, so it's in subtitles. It's spoken in Brazilian, but there's English subtitles. But it's a very insightful movie. I often suggest people watch it to kind of get a feel for just an aspect of what this is like. But then you get to a certain point, you know, where you can move into those realms that we don't normally experience until after we die, while we're still here. Because I started so young doing sort of spiritual work, in the dream state, I go into those realms and interacting with those souls and doing things. I mean, I've given talks to groups on the other side about spiritual things and spiritual principles while the body's asleep. You know? Cool. And done all kinds of other things, interacting with masters and teachers and guides and just other souls who just need support and help, not just here but there too.
Is there certain techniques of meditation that you could guide someone to do in order to connect? That's another whole long story. But I would say, you know, one of the easiest ways to start to open those doors is to go into what I would call contemplation, meaning you just sit quietly, close your eyes, put your attention lightly on the third eye. And a good traveling mantra that opens you and connects you to your spiritual self is HU, Hu. And it's very simple. You just chant Hu, like Hu. And if you do that for about 5 or 10 minutes while you're sitting quietly with your eyes closed, you may see light first. You know, it could be blue light, gold light, white light. And if you're interested in moving into the other realm, just imagine yourself somewhere else. Imagine yourself in, let's say, a beautiful garden somewhere. And if you are persistent and you do that regularly, eventually you're gonna find yourself there in the inner, and it'll be just as real as this. And you can go from there, and you can explore the whole realm, because there are realms that are way more beautiful than the most beautiful place here. But so you have to be ready and know how to experience those realms. And there are other beings there that are you know, like here, but more evolved, more aware, more conscious. You know. And you being someone who's been to some of these realms, and how is it hard to be here? Like, are you like, gosh, when am I gonna go to the other side, or is it?
No, it's just like a second shift, you know. While the body's asleep, they're doing things with other souls, and then come back here, and I've got things going on here. It's not and you get to the point where, I mean, I have actually, to go a little deeper, I have sort of a whole life on that. There's souls that I interact with on a regular basis, communities and whatnot on the others, that I'm very familiar with when I'm there. But then I come here, and then I got my communities here, you know, like, you know, you and your wife, you know. So it's the people that I interact here. So it's just a different aspect of life. It just becomes multidimensional. So it's not like I'm thinking, oh, I just want to be there. It's just like, I'm there, I'm here at the same time. You know, I'm doing them both simultaneously, because soul, our true self, is not limited by time and space. It can be in multiple places simultaneously. So, you know, I remember I had a friend, we used to play softball. You know, it was a group of us who were very in the spiritual stuff, and you know, they came from, you know, different sort of jobs and whatnot, and we formed a softball team. And this was probably about 20 years ago or more. And we would play against different groups, you know, firemen and whatnot. And there was this one guy who he hadn't really done all the kind of spiritual work that I've been involved with, but he was just open, and he was a good athlete, and he was friends with one of the people at work that was in our group, and he wanted to play with us. And I said, yeah, why not? So anyway, long story short, his name was Alan. We would play, and Alan was he was good at baseball, so we really liked him on the team. And Alan started saying, Charles, I've been seeing you in my dream. And I said, yeah? He said, yeah, you've been coming in my dream, and I have a question. Is that really you? And I said, well, Alan, next time you see me in your dream, you ask me if it's really me, you know. And because I didn't want to to answer in one way or the other because it's his experience and he has to validate that. I couldn't validate it for him. So he said, okay. And so a couple of weeks later, we have another game. And Alan says, Charles, I saw you in my dream again. And he said, and this time I asked, I says, Charles, is that really you? And you said, yes, Alan, it's really me.
So I wonder, because it reminds me of me and my friend when we were in high school. We were like, let's try to visit each other in our dreams. And I think he said that he saw me in my dream, but I wasn't aware that he was seeing me. And I feel like I have a lot of understanding on the spirit world and like that the world is way more wondrous than what we've been presented to in school and popular culture. And I have all this understanding, but I feel like I'm still like so disconnected from it. Like I'm not sensitive to spirits. Like maybe I am a little bit, but not a lot. You know?
Sure.
And so I'm like, did I come here and made a point when I came here to be like, okay, I'm gonna dull my spiritual senses while I'm here this time in order to like figure something. You know, I wonder if is that a thing? Do people?
Yeah, and just the nature of being here. Sometimes your spiritual senses sort of get shut down, particularly when you get involved with life, and it takes the right kind of training to actually learn how to balance the two. To live here fully and also be open to the other realms. Right. And it's not necessarily something that comes natural. And we're not trained to do that. It's not like you're going to learn that in elementary school or anything. So you actually have to seek out a spiritual teaching or discipline to show you how to be a multidimensional being, to live effectively here, contribute to society, and serve in ways that's going to expand consciousness here and the souls you interact with, and also be able to operate in the other realms. And that's not something, as I say, that you can do without special training, discipline, and motivation. You have to have a desire to learn how to do that stuff because we're born in these bodies, and soul gets attached to just being it. It's like familiar, and to move beyond it, you have to actually sort of guide and train yourself to be comfortable doing that. It's almost like if you've got a parrot in a cage, and it's a sweet bird, and you feed it and whatnot, and then one day you open the door and say, okay, you can fly out. Well, the parrot's probably not going to be like, wait a minute, this is my home. I've lived here all my life. I don't know what's out there. That's how soul is in the body. So it has to be trained. We have to train ourselves to move outside of our cage.
Do you feel like people know, like, do you know that this is your last life here on Earth, or?
Well, the thing is you get to a point spiritually where you can choose to come back or not. I don't know that I won't come back because the masters may say we've got a mission. We're going back to do a certain thing here. Will you guys volunteer to come with us and help us with the mission, or facilitate your own development to full mastership? Because spiritual mastery is more easily achieved here than in the other worlds, because it's so much beauty and things are so much easier in some of these other levels of heaven that it would take a much longer time to achieve full spiritual realization than if you came back knowing you can come here for mastership and you do what it takes to make us, again, the polarities are more extreme here. We've got more extremes of hot and cold, light and darkness. All of that is more extreme here, and because of that, you can learn spiritual lessons faster if you're up for it, if you know what you're here to do. And so I may come back here just to continue to serve and to grow spiritually, because it's like, it would be like, you could spend like the next 20 years living in, let's say, Maui on the beach and just getting coconuts and pineapples off the trees and just hanging out. But what would you accomplish spiritually? You know, probably not a whole lot. You'd be removed from the rest of the world and society, and you'd just be hanging out. Well, some areas of the other worlds are sort of like that. It's just so easy, so beautiful, so that you would grow spiritually, but it would take a much longer time because you're just not interacting with, you know, the things that you require for you, and the tests and the challenges that really create spiritual strength. You know, even though we sometimes don't like it because it takes us out of our comfort zone, we're having to deal with survival and you know, relationships that, you know, have conflicts and all. That's where the real spiritual growth comes. I mean, you know, there, you know, historically they've been spiritual masters that get their enlightenment in the cave, you know, or in the depth, wherever. But to actually maintain that when you come back in society, that's the challenge, you know. And a lot of even people who've achieved certain spiritual gains in the cave, when they come back to society, then they get challenged, you know. And sometimes they lose it, you know.
Yeah, it's like the saying, enlightenment and then the laundry. You gotta do the laundry.
Exactly.
Would you say that every soul that is here has a specific mission that they're supposed to fulfill?
Well, yeah, they have a specific gift or something that they are here to do, to serve, and you could call that a mission. A lot of people aren't aware of that, unfortunately, so they just do the best they can with what they know and what they have. But yeah, we come here for a specific purpose and mission. It may not be a grand mission. It may be a mission to raise certain kids, to, you know, for two souls to come into your life that you raise and empower to and teach to be good, responsible, and spiritually conscious adults themselves. That may be your mission this lifetime, and you may have had a past life with those souls where, you know, they were your parents. As Deepak said, when, you know, he said that his son, his son Gotham, when he was a kid, he said, you know, I used to be the dad. You know.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So sometimes our mission is to, you know, it's very simple things. To just live life with love and compassion, and to serve others in very specific ways that are unique to our gifts and our interests and our talents. And then other souls have different missions, you know, that are maybe more encompassing of a larger group of people. So yeah, from lifetime to lifetime, we have different missions depending on what our karmic situation is from past lives, you know, and our natural sort of gifts and inclination.
I wonder, do you feel like people, when they find their mission or when they find the way that they're supposed to serve, that the universe and kind of pushes them in that direction, like the money comes, and because I see a lot of people that are struggling financially and things, and I'm like, is that because they're not in resonance with why they're here, or?
You know, there could be several reasons for that. I mean, again, our karmic sort of situation is that we come in with is often tied to, you know, our challenges with, you know, maybe survival and finances or relationships or even health. All of that is tied to our karmic situation in past lives. I mean, I've had people who come to me because they had basically, and they sense I seem to be blocked when it comes to finances. You know, I can't seem to make any headway, or I have an unconscious fear of success, and I don't know where that's coming from. And sometimes we have to find a past life or past lives where those blocks of fears got started, clear that, so that they can actually be more successful in this life. You know, so, and there's a reason for that. There's a reason for everything we experience. We don't realize it, but it's tied to our past, you know, our karmic history. So.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah, so how do you travel to the astral world a lot? I want to know, like, how So once we graduate to the next, and I won't take up too much more time because
That's all right.
but so when we graduate to to the astral world, and when you get there in the astral or the karmic world, you're like, oh, you're okay, you're good, you can stay. And then, how long is that lifetime in the astral world?
Well, you have to realize a lifetime in the astral realm would be the equivalent to maybe 1,000 of our Earth years. So that would just be an average lifespan there. And then, death is a little different there. It's almost like you just sleep and then you kind of wake up and then it's more gentle, But you may not stay a full, quote, astral life cycle if you're leaving the physical and going into the astral after dying here. You may get directed to come right back, maybe. For instance, and I want to do a YouTube video on this because people just don't understand this, and it's so prevalent. Suicide. A lot of people in today's society think suicide is the way out, and they don't realize that, it's only a temporary solution. It's not really, you don't really escape the situation that you're dealing with here by ending your life. It's almost like this body is a temple, and to destroy it is in and of itself a karmic violation. You got a karmic debt just by doing that. And so what happens if you commit suicide is you go to the other realm, and the Lords of Karma immediately send you back into a new incarnation where you're going to deal with the same issues, but it's going to be a little tougher because of the fact that you committed suicide. It's almost like you created a little added karmic debt to that. So you're going to end up, and you won't, of course, remember it. You're born again, like right away, and you grew up, and the next thing you know, you're dealing with the same kind of stuff that you tried to escape in your previous life. And it could be health, it could be finances, it could be anything. Relationship, people kill themselves for so many reasons, thinking, okay, I just can't deal anymore, I'm out. But they're going to get sent back to have to deal it, because you ask for, about mission. Well, sometimes your mission is to learn to endure and to successfully navigate a situation that you're in, as painful as it may be. And to commit suicide is like, oh, I'm out. It's like, but you don't learn the lesson if you do that. So the Lords of Karma just send you right back. So there's no real escape, even though you think you're getting out of it. And I've had people come to me who are suicidal. And when I hear that, I say, okay, let's deal with that first, and I'll take them back to a past life where, they went in the bathroom and slit their wrists, and bled out and died, as a teenager in a past life or an adult or whatever, or it was during the sort of the pioneer days, where people often, instead of cocaine, they took laudanum, which was a drink that had basically coca in it, and they would use that. Okay, I'm going to drink enough laudanum and it's going to take, and they would kill themselves that way. And I had to take them back and clear that trauma. And when they see and experience, and not just see, but experience, relive in their life in that previous lifetime, and realize, okay, I'm back in the same, they think, oh my God, I have no interest in doing that in this lifetime. It's just all of a sudden they just that's the last thing I want to do now. It just completely resolves this sort of suicidal impulse. But often, if we don't have that experience or that awareness and that understanding, we just think that's a way out, and so I really want to do a video, and I want to thank you for asking me that question, because that's probably one of the first videos I want to do, because it's such a prevalent problem. And teens, adults, everybody sort of feels that's sort of an option, that it is an option, but it's not a very effective one.
Yeah, I was trying to explain that to my friend. He was talking about that. I'm like, the spirit world is a real thing. It's like, when you go to the other side, you're gonna have to come back, and you're gonna have to deal with the same thing that you're dealing with in this life, and it's not an easy way out. You're making it harder, and I think, I think if people can actually be shown that, then they can be like, I can help a lot of people. I've lost at least 2 people that I can think of right now from close friends. So yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I empathize with people who have some kind of chronic terminal illness, you know, and it's, you know, it's clear that it's going to take them out of the body, and they think, well, you know, I'm going to die anyway, you know, why don't, you know, I just, you know, and they've got laws now that allow, you know, euthanasia. But I would suggest that they're going through that tough time for a reason. There's a karmic reason they're having to go through, let's say, a cancer or whatever it is that clearly is going to be a terminal illness that they probably won't recover from. But if they can stick it out, if they can hang in there until the body naturally dies, they've resolved a karmic situation that they came in to clear. And so, but if you prematurely in your life, that's still a piece of that karma that you haven't resolved, and so you have to come back to finish it. You know, even if it's difficult, I say hang in there as best you can to either resolve it, or even if it's a terminal situation, just, you know, live your best life until it's time for your body to go.
Right. Because there's a time frame for everything. There's a reason why you're still here. So interesting. Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to think. There was something I wanted to ask you. So you had said you gave the technique of the hue and
HU.
And is that also a way? Is there a way where you can connect with your spirit guides? You know?
Well, yeah, the hue actually is a spiritual mantra that will connect you to your highest self, you know, to yourself as soul. And it also is considered a sacred or sacred name for God. In fact, the hue has been around for many cultures. Esoteric societies have used it. For instance, for the Sufis, the esoteric tradition of Islam, the Sufis considered the hue so sacred they wouldn't even utter it aloud. It was that powerful for them. It's been used in ancient Egypt. It's even in the Christian word Alleluia. It's Alleluia, hue. So if you use hue, it actually will protect you too. If you need sort of protection, guidance to clear negative energy that even you may be carrying yourself, you can use the hue to kind of open your consciousness and neutralize, you know, negativity. So, but the hue can also allow you to travel in the other realms, you know, as you say, the astral realm, which is the first level of heaven, but then there are many levels of heaven even beyond the astral. So,
yeah, that's interesting because in Australia, in the surf culture, they call it Huey, who sends waves. And, so I wonder where that came from.
Yeah, the Druids recognized the sun god as Hue. The ancient Druids.
Yeah, human.
But yeah, it's something that if people are interested, I suggest that they try, because it really, no matter what your belief is, it can actually enhance and empower you spiritually to use the hue. You know, it's like a prayer song, you might say. The idea, though, ideally you don't want to direct it. You don't want to try to use the hue to change somebody else. Then you're sort of abusing it. So the idea is to use the hue only to open yourself and develop your own spiritual potential, but not to like affect or change another person. You know.
Cool. Well, thank you. I think I've taken up more than enough of your time. I appreciate you.
Love talking about it. I mean, that's what we're here for, to learn and grow and to share. So.
I mean, yes, it's fascinating to me, and I was just asking my guys today, like, make sure that I'm online with living my purpose and being of service, the best way I can be of service, and what that looks like. And yeah, I think that's a reason for this channel is also just helping spread whatever knowledge that I have, or in sharing the community, and hopefully other people. Because would you agree that being of service is kind of our highest calling?
Exactly, exactly. There are different levels of service, but it's all about service. We grow most when we're serving.
Well, thank you. I should wrap it up. Kevin Kraft here. Charles, thank you so much.
Thanks, Kevin. It's a pleasure, bro.
Pleasure's mine.
Yeah, I'm glad we met,
Yeah.
We obviously have a connection, or it would have happened.
Yeah. That has me, wondering, what kind of past lives and connections there might have been.
Sure.
But thanks again.
Yeah, my pleasure. Anytime. Let's do it again sometime.
I would love that. Yeah, it should be a mini series. We're gonna do a mini series.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.